As promised, this is a quiz review for your upcoming quiz on adding and subtracting polynomials. I'll try to keep it quick. Make sure you take notes, watch this whole video, and you should be guaranteed success. So the first part of your quiz is going to ask you to give some definitions and of the basic concepts you've learned so far in this unit. So the first one is a constant, and a constant is just a number on its own. So 7 can be an example of a constant, 5 could be an example of a constant, 8 could be an example of a constant. Any number on its own is called a constant. You've been working with constants since you were old enough to know what numbers are. Okay, so constants are just numbers on its own. And then coefficient. So a coefficient is a number used to multiply a variable. And just so we're clear here, a variable is a symbol for a number we don't know yet. So examples of a coefficient could be, for example, if I wrote 5x, because the 5 is being multiplied by the variable x, which is a number we don't know yet, 5 in this case is a coefficient. And if I had 7x, again, 7 is being multiplied by a variable, and so 7 would be our coefficient. And if I did 8x, then 8 would be our coefficient because it's being multiplied by a variable. So you can see 7, 5, and 8 are constants if they're on their own. 7, 5, 8 or 5, 7, 8 are coefficients if they're being multiplied by a variable. Okay, and we just went over the definition of variable. It shouldn't be anything new to you. Variables can be any letter, x, n, y, all right, any number to represent a number that we do not know yet. And then an exponent. What's an exponent? An exponent of a number says how many times to use the number in the multiplication. So we've also been using the term degree to talk about this. And so if I have a number like 5 to the power of 2, the exponent is 2. And it simply means 5 times 5. You're familiar with that, hopefully. 7 to the power of, let's do it to the power of 3. 3 is the exponent. This means to multiply 7 times 7 times 7. And 8 to the power of 6, that would mean to multiply 8 times. So 8 times 8 times 8 times 8 times 8 times 8. All right. So those are the basic definitions that you need to know. Make sure you've studied those and you're comfortable using them and writing out the definitions. So adding and subtracting polynomials, I'm just going to do 2 examples with you so you can get the idea. Whenever we see brackets, we want to get rid of the brackets first, so we can just rewrite it out. 3x squared minus x plus 5x cubed, and then it says plus negative 4x cubed, and so if it's just plus minus, I can just write that as minus 4x cubed plus x to the power of 2 minus 8. Okay, so now that I've written it all out, this is where I can use my boxing strategy, and I'm going to box the terms along with the operators that are in front of them. Alright, so I've done that. Now I need to reorganize it, and if you recall, I always put first, when I'm writing in standard form, the highest exponent, the variable that has the highest exponent. So in this case, if I'm going from left to right, I see that it is 5x cubed minus 4x cubed. And then my next highest is x squared, so I'm going to do 3x squared. And it's a plus because there's no sign in front of it, so 3x squared and plus x squared. And so I've got that done as well. Then I have next highest would be negative x. Remember, the negative x, we read that as having a power of 1. And so that's why the x is going to go before the negative 8. So I've got that one done. And now I would put minus 8. So now I've put them in their proper order, and I've put the like terms next to one another. So now I can combine them. So 5x cubed minus 4x cubed is just going to give me x cubed. So 5 minus 4 equals 1. So that means I have 1x cubed left. And then 3x squared plus x squared is going to give me 4x squared. And there's nothing to combine the x with, so I'm just going to get minus x. And there's nothing to combine the minus 8 with, so I'm just going to get minus 8. I should have put my equal signs here. And now I have simplified this expression. Alright, so I'll do one more example with you. Alright, so just like the last question, I'm going to get rid of the brackets first, but very important to recognize here. If I see a negative sign in front of a set of brackets, that means I need to change the operators or signs inside the brackets to their opposites when I take the brackets off. So what that means is right now, for example, we have 3 z to the power of 2, and that's positive, but when I take off the brackets, I'm going to end up with negative 3z cubed. So the operator became the opposite. Instead of being positive 3z squared, it became negative 3z squared. And the other way you can think about it is that as we've talked about in class, you are multiplying negative 1 by all the terms inside the brackets. Okay, and so when you do that, you would be changing the operator to the opposite if the sign outside of the brackets is negative. So 3z squared, and then if I do 4z, which was a positive 4z, that's going to become minus 4z. And then when I take the brackets off the next one, I'm going to get negative 6z squared. And I'm going to get positive 2. Right? So the operator, this negative operator here became a positive 1 because if I multiply negative 1 times negative 2, I would get positive 2. Alright, so I have it written out. So now I'm going to use my box strategy again. I'm going to put boxes around the terms and the operators. Alright, now I can start off with the variable that has the highest exponent. In this case, that's negative 3z squared. So 2 is the highest exponent, so I'm starting with that one. Minus 6z squared. And then again, I would go to the next highest, which would be negative 4z, because we imagine that if we just have a variable there with no exponent, that it has an exponent of 1, and then plus 2. Constants always go at the end. Alright, then now I just need to combine them. Negative z squared minus 6z squared is going to give me negative 9z squared. And then I don't have to combine. There's nothing to combine 4z with. There's nothing to combine positive 2 with. So I end up with this as my answer. If you're unsure about that, just rewind it, watch it again, listen to the explanations, and also go and try out some of the practice questions that I'm going to put up on the website. Another kind of question you'll be getting on the quiz is one that looks like this. It says, write and simplify an expression for the perimeter of the triangle shown. So for this, you're going to want to do perimeter. So for perimeter, you're just adding the 3 sides together. And so our expression would simply be x plus 5 plus x plus 7 plus x. Okay, and that's the perimeter. and then I want to combine my like terms, and I'll start with x because it's the variable with the highest exponent, which is 1. The rest are constants. Constants always go at the end. We imagine them as having an exponent of 0. So x plus x plus x plus 5 plus 7, and that gives me 3x plus 12. Okay, and then the question might say something like x equals 4. So what's the total perimeter of the triangle? And so in that case, you would just write out the simplified formula 3x plus 12, and you're going to substitute in 4 for x, and so you get 3 times 4 plus 12. 3 times 4 equals 12, plus 12 equals 24. If I've gone too quickly for you in this example, just rewind and watch it again. Alright, so on your quiz you're going to come across a couple of questions similar to this one here. This one in particular is going to require that you combine what you learned about in the previous unit with what you've been learning so far in this first part of the unit. So I thought I'd put it in the video so no one's totally surprised, except for those of you who don't watch the video, of course. So here's the question. The perimeter of the rectangle below is 52 meters. Determine the measure of each side of the rectangle. Show all your work. So I'm going to apply cubes first. I'm going to circle my number. That's the only number. So I'm going to box my keyword. I'm going to combine them. I'm going to underline the question. So I circled, I underlined, and I put a box. Okay, so it's asking me to determine the measure of each side of the rectangle. Well, to do that, I'm going to need to figure out what is the value of x. Alright, so what I can do to answer this question is I can write out our perimeter formula. So our perimeter formula, as we've learned many units ago, is length plus width plus width. Alright, and I've already been told what the perimeter is. The perimeter is 52, so I can simply substitute in 52 for p. And my length is 6x, so I'm going to put plus 6x plus 6x. And then my width is 2x plus 2, so I'm going to write that out, 2x plus 2 plus 2x plus 2. Alright, so now I have some terms that I can simplify before I go on to solve this problem. So to simplify, I'm going to follow my boxing strategy, putting boxes around the terms and their operators. And then I'm going to combine like terms, so I would write 52 equals 6x plus 6x plus 2x plus 2x, and I put my x's first because they have an exponent of 1, and I always put the variable with the highest exponent first. So I'm going to check off the ones I've already done, and what's left for me to do is plus 2 plus 2. And so now that I have my like terms together, I can combine them. So 6x plus 6x plus 2x plus 2x gives me the answer 16x. And 2 plus 2 equals 4. So now I have this, 52 equals 16x plus 4, and now I'm just looking at what is a basic two-step algebraic equation which we learned about in the previous unit. So to do this I need to isolate x, and to isolate x I need to get rid of the 4 that's on the right side. Using the zero principle, I'm going to subtract 4 from both sides, so I get 52 minus 4 equals 16x plus 4 minus 4, and then I get 48 equals 16x. And now again, to isolate x, I need to divide both sides by 16. And 48 divided by 16 gives me the answer 3. 16 divided by 16 gives me 1, and I'm left with 1x, so I can just write it out. 3 equals x. So I'm almost there, because if you recall, I underlined the question to remind myself, I need to determine the measure of each side of the rectangle. So now what I need to do, I need to substitute in 3, because x equals 3, into the expression 6x. So side AB equals 6x equals 6 multiplied by 3 equals 18. And that's going to be the same for DC. So my first answer is AB and DC both equal 18. And now I got to figure out BC. Okay, so just so you're aware, I'm labeling the lines according to the points they reach. So AB was what I did right here, and DC is the same as AB, so I've put it here. All right, so now I'm doing BC. Now I'm doing BC, this line here, which is going to be the same as AD. So BC, the expression is 2x plus 2, and I substitute in 3 for x, and I get 2 times 3 equals 6, plus 2 equals 8. And so sides BC and AD both equal 8. And that's how you solve that question. I know it looks like quite a bit of work. If you have any confusions, watch over this question again. And if you have further questions, you can always contact me through Remind, through email, and I will be available for some homework help after school on Monday.